Hello, how's it going, everybody? Oh, it is time for Phoenix Wright, episode 5, final day. Trial. This has been a long trial, but it'll all come to an end today, hopefully today. We got 3 hours to get through this. Let's do it. February 25th, 9:47 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2. This is a defendant lobby, alright? But there's no defendant. Been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Edgeworth? Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of 77's ID number is that is? Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, there's no doubt, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True, not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, right? 5 minutes, right? And Chief Prosecutor Sky will be found guilty. But she didn't do it. I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say. This is the first time he's ever done anything like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth? Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid, today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, Wright. This is it. Yo, for the first time, Phoenix actually might be going in this room without any support whatsoever. If I'm ever gonna find out what Chief Gant has on her, it's now. Phoenix is solo! Oh my god. Court's now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gant. Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, Edgy. Been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. Oh, that's a good one. Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours? Lana, that is to say, the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. Wait, what does she have to say? What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request and I'll be finished. Well then, what's your request? Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. No, Lana? What's she doing?
Objection!
You can't. Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services, but Lana, Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. While the defendant certainly has a right to self-representation, her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This can't be happening. Emma, where are you? It appears for the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds a defendant. Objection!
Objection!
One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth, the prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Edgeworth, come on, let's go. Come on now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut, He's fighting back. I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant. What? Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer that naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal? Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh? To whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. Wait, where's Emma? I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I'm exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue. I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Oh. Very well, the court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Worthy, you'll live to regret this. Mark my words. Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Wait, where has Emma been? What? Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Emma Skye. My occupation, I'm Lana's little sister and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that though. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Mr. Edwards, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. I love Judge. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. Let's go, Phoenix, let's go. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. It's a good thing you weren't harmed. I passed out. I don't remember much. That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. You've got to admire his courage, considering he has no evidence. Edgeworth is the polar opposite of how he used to be. I love it. I really love it. Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination.
Hold it!
2 years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct? Yes. He was second in command under the Deputy Chief of Police Gant. My sister, she was the best detective ever. Yes, I remember. Deputy Chief Gant and Miss Guy used to be quite the pair. I believe they shared the same office. That's right. I'd always sit at my sister's desk and dream about playing that organ. I wanted to play it that day, too. The police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day. Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work. A man came running in and took me hostage. A man? Yes, Joe Dark. He was a serial killer. Joe Dark was brought in for questioning on the day of the ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest. When he saw his chance, he fled the room, right? Upon fleeing the room, Dark proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran to Sky and Gant's office. There was a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened the door to have a look. That's when I saw him. What was the prosecutor doing there? That day, there were two people present during Dark's questioning. Deputy Chief Damon Gant and Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Almost forgot about Gant. Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony. I assume that would also be why he was the first to run after Dark. When Dark grabbed me, I thought I was as good as dead. And that's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in? I don't clearly remember what happened, but... Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. Just then, the lights went out. The lights? It was just about the time of the year. There was a terrible storm going on and lightning struck nearby. So the electricity went out. Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right? Right, but then just lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind. I see. I told the detective about what I saw then. The detective? Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case. Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim. Hear more. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago? Yes. That's what's so scary about this trial. And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw? Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture. A picture? Yes, I think she mentioned that before. Well, Mr. Wright, have you asked about the picture? This picture the witness drew, I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony? Yes, Your Honor. So you drew a picture? Yes, I wanted to do everything I could to help the investigation. I can still see it now whenever I close my eyes. That's strange. I took over the case after Prosecutor Marshall died, yet I never received any picture. Perhaps the witness is mistaken? But I did draw it, I swear. I'm not just imagining it. I guess I should check the evidence again. The scene that printed an image in your mind. Can you please describe it to us? That man, the man. That must have been a real shock. Did he just make a pun because there was lightning? Even now, when I close my eyes, I can still see it just clearly. Tell us, what were you doing at that moment? I believe you testified that Joe Dark was holding you hostage. When lightning struck and the lights went out, Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark, I was thrown aside, and the two began to wrestle each other. I'm pretty sure I was watching them. Emma doesn't have any reason to lie, but Lana sure does. I need to get Emma to tell me as much as she can about this. picture is drawn on the back of the evidence list in magic marker. I've got a very bad feeling about this. Alright, we're gonna find out.
Objection!
Mr. Edgeworth? This little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you would insist on denying its existence? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that as a prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. This is the evidence list for the SL9 incident. Please turn it over, Your Honor. Turn it over? Ah, what's this? Yes, what is this? Hey, that's it. That's a picture I drew. Indeed. Two men appear to be wrestling over it here. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. Huh? These lists, they're different from each other. What? It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other. So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you. What? Poor Edgeworth. Not his fault, though. That was definitely Gant's fault. Order. But Miss Guy, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list? Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor. Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, that means... Your Honor? Are you alright, Miss Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head. If this evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list. Yes, that's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth. It's possible. Let's see. Edgeworth? Is something wrong, Edgeworth? Have you not looked at the past, or at the back in the past? Sorry, Your Honor. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's that thing. Oh no! Why is the blue badger back? That's that thing. That thing that was dancing in the evidence room. Clearly, this is an act of vandalism. This act of vandalism is a work of a certain chief of detectives. I guess he was out of scrap paper. It's your favorite song. God. Very well, witness. Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago? Huh? Oh, yes. Yes, sir, Your Honor. What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture. Emma's picture. This is a picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind. Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw. While I don't see any contradictions here, this clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder Prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. This is a picture I drew 2 years ago. Did you draw this picture right after the incident? I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything. During that time, the investigation team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gant and Llama Sky. 2 or 3 days later, the memory should still have been fresh in her mind. Excuse me, witness? But can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black? going good so far, noob. We already encountered the blue badger again. The blue bastard. So at that time, you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue. No, I couldn't see him clearly. The lightning was so bright and I was knocked to the floor. You were knocked to the floor? Dark had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around, and that's when the lightning flashed. Poor Emma. I'm just glad she wasn't hurt. What happened after the lightning flashed? You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place? No. I'm sorry. The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused a witness to faint. Do you really need to torture this girl any further? What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here. Anyway, this picture. Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw? Of course, this is the exact same. It wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives? Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Miss Wright? No, of course not. Better watch out, or he might find some way to cut my salary. Phoenix, this is the first case you worked in like a month or two? I don't really know. How can he cut your salary when you make nothing right now? I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives, so I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me, Mr. Wright. Is there something that's bothering you about this picture? Huh? Oh, well, that's strange. She claims that this is exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind, and yet, there's clearly a contradiction here. Don't you date insult little Emma's drawing skills? Don't you dare insult little Emma's drawing skills. Oh, okay. Hey, Bateman's, how you doing? I'm good, my friend. Watch your LiDAR stream was shorter than I hoped. It was actually a very short game, but it was alright. It had a cool concept, it just didn't execute it fully throughout, like, sadly. I thought they were gonna do something cool with the shadows. They had a cool concept. It's just, like, they just didn't execute it. They didn't execute it well. But it was just a little indie game, too. It was a free-to-play as well. Maybe they come back with more experience at some point. I hope so. too much evidence. This is hard.
Hold it! Hold it!
No, I'm sorry.
Objection!
The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture this girl any further? What? Yeah, I'm not the bad guy here. Anyway, this picture. Is it the knife?
Objection!
The witness, this picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. Wait, stabbed in the back.
Objection!
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. What? But I still remember it just like it was yesterday. Oh my god, he didn't get stabbed in the front! Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this body contradicts the evidence? Wait. Is it that it's a ruler? Oh, I'm gonna go with my gut. Oh, I think it's this part here. I don't see what's so strange about it. That's because the drawing stinks. Mr. Wright, how could you? The act of making an innocent girl cry should warrant the death penalty. I guess he means I shouldn't shift the blame to others. Yes, well, so long as the defense has learned his lesson. Mr. Wright? Perhaps it would be faster for you to point out the contradiction.
Take that!
The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see its tip is broken.
What?
Even I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright. But, Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too. If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body. It was conclusive piece of evidence. It was the conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer. I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma.
Objection!
And way, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem? It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken. What's the meaning of this? Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there. That's right. But what does that mean? The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is a witness memory is mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time, but she was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast, Miss Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already about a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice, right? All I'm saying is that the broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny that possibility. No. No! Order, order, order. Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted? Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving this King of Prosecutors award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him, and he was killed by Dark. It all went dark. It is my belief that somewhere in the story there is a lie. I'm not lying. The man really was holding a broken knife. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife. What are the chances of there being two broken knives? Another broken knife besides Joe Dark's? Could there have been one? There is another one. If the witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it just can't be explained away by simple observational error. Mr. Wright? In that instance, Emma really did see a broken knife. I assume then that you have information about this other broken knife. If so, please feel free to enlighten us. The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. If anything's broken here, it's you. Huh? I'm sure this must be all very amusing to you, Mr. Wright. I'm not gonna do, like... Hold on. The Blue Badger is a real murder weapon. It will kill everybody in its path. Here's a real murder weapon. If anything's broken here, it's you. Huh? Wait, it's not the actual... The Blue Badger is a time-traveling murder weapon. Show us a real murder weapon. It can't be the screwdriver, right?
Take that!
I swear to God. It really better not be the blue bastard.
Take that!
Okay. I needed to get that off my, I needed to get that off my radar. That was it. That was all. That was all. Here's a real murder weapon. Blue Badger, Badger. Your badge? Dun dun dun.
Take that!
So I was not wrong. I needed the picture though. This is a picture of the award ceremony. Ah! What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award prosecutor Marshall is holding. That's a broken knife. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award. Order, order, order. Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. But that can't be. Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors award knife was the murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would have been reversed. What do you mean? I mean, the man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Oh. But the prosecutor was the one who actually died. That's true. What's going on here? Right. It seems like you were Mr. Wrong. Hold it, wait. I remember now. I remember everything. Witness? Mr. Edgeworth, what is it? Could you show me your evidence list again, please? His list? The one with that picture scribbled on the back? I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it. What? You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. Why is it always a blue bastard? At this time, I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me. Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled, Miss Guy? Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mix-up, and now the blue badger? This should be interesting. Of course she blocked off the blue badger from her memory. Who wouldn't? True. Oh, the music's getting hype! When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and I rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with a knife. Just then, there was another flash of light, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure his shadow. This is certainly most unusual. Try impossible. The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. Very well. The defense may... Stop, please. Don't pursue this any further. Did Emma accidentally kill somebody? Lada? What's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair. But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Sky? We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence. The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant. Wait, are they ignoring her rights? Isn't she the defendant? Doesn't she get to choose what she wants? It seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter.
Hold it!
When you say that man, I assume you refer to Joe Dark. Yes, at least I think it was him. You think? All I could see were shadows. The power outage that immediately preceded the incident is also documented in the prosecutor's office reports. So then I panicked and rushed towards both of them.
Hold it!
Emma, I had to do it, or the voices wouldn't stop. True. Why would you do something so dangerous? What else could I have done? He was about to stab Mr. Marshall. She seems convinced that Dark was the one holding the knife. But as we just theorized, Mr. Marshall was the one holding the knife. Well, I didn't know that at the time. When that Dark guy knocked me down, all I could think was, I've got to help that other person.
Hold it!
What do you mean, you think? It all happened so fast, and I was in shock. I don't remember everything clearly. What I did, it's kind of a blur. A blue blur. The Sky was almost killed before she was witness to a murder about to take place. With so much happening in a matter of seconds, a little disorientation is only natural. I saw the man about to stab the other person, who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with the knife. What you did was very brave, young girl. So then, what happened next? Are you sure about this? Of course, see? I even drew a picture of him. But it was the chief of detectives who thought up this hideous beast. And that was just this year. The Blue Badger didn't exist 2 years ago. This is all quite verifiable. I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I saw him at the police department. I had this nagging feeling that I'd seen him before somewhere. I finally remember. Oh, brother, just when you thought that thing had caused enough commotion? Tell us, where in the room did you see him dancing?
Hold it!
His shadow? So you mean you didn't actually see his face with his winning smile and all? That's right, I still remember it. But I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns. This is pointless. That thing could have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken. That may well be. Well, what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did. Oh? And I suppose you have an explanation? If so, then by all means, please tell us what the shadow really was. What was it Emma saw when that lightning flashed? Who is this Blue Badger, really? The blue badger hadn't even been dreamt up when Emma drew this picture, yet she's certain she saw its shadow. The blue badger shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense's belief that on that fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the blue badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room. Mr. Wright. In this room? Very well, Mr. Wright. Let me save. What is it that the witness saw in that instant? Please show us the mysterious blue badger look-alike. The mysterious blue badger was in fact this, because it had 3 like horns. I found you, faker. But that's... what exactly is that? I believe it's some sort of jar, but Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger. Indeed, it doesn't as it stands now. It's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint? Our viewpoint? Gotta show them the correct angle to look at this from. God, please, no. Make it stop. Make it stop. God, make it stop. Oh, I could just do this. This isn't right. I've got to make it more look like the blue badger. Allow me to remind the defense in its case hinges on the witness's drawing. Dude, I swear to God. What's the right angle? Shut up. this is a final boss? Oh my god, dude. Finally. Oh my god. Wow, is this a miracle or what? No one can possibly deny this jar resembles the Blue Badger. Phoenix, you're absolutely reaching. No, it can't be! Order. The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious Blue Badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this. Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that Badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything. Oh, it changes everything, Edgeworth. That's where you're wrong. You see, this changes everything. Indeed. Very well, then please tell us. What's different now than what we knew? What's different now that we know this witness saw a jar? This part is infamously finicky. I can really imagine that. Not the location, not the murder weapon, but the murderer. Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Yes. Well, knowing this, where could she have possibly seen this jar? Where? The location of the jar is shown in the picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on the shelf in the office of Damon Gant. But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and it took these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room, in Chief Gant's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office? Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason. Do you know what that reason was, Mr. Wright? I finally figured it out, so this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying? That would have to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would have been hit? What would he have hit? It was accidental. It was completely accidental. The suit of armor holding a very sharp and dangerous looking sword. Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have to have been Neil Marshall wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking. Yes, there is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room. Another possibility? Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless, I don't know if I can go through with this. Mr. Wright, what's the matter? If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Skye had knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall, you mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? Oh. Yeah. I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was a witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented. What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Skye, but given the circumstances, Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't. Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. We certainly can't get dead people to testify. Except if you had Maya. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Touché, Miss Skye. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean, the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life. In one manner or another, that's impossible. Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist? I've got to go back to the court record. The real murderer's name the victim may have left behind. is in the evidence. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister's a murderer? Damn, Lana. You do not be mistaken, Miss Sky. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There's only one thing we seek, the truth. No matter how painful it may be. Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased.
Take that!
This is a message from the deceased. Right. Now then, this is a message from the judge. What? Freaking.
Take that!
This is that blue badger from before, right? Oh, is he going to just speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. Message was left here on the surface of this jar. What do you mean? If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar. It looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice, for some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away. Yes, there's a line here drawn in blood. So what you're saying is that these dots were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used a few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away, but blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed direction. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will become apparent. No. Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us? Your Honor, I believe that these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer. Oh no, we gotta do more. I've gotta connect these letters to make... Connect these dots to make letters. A letter. There's only one thing the victim could have written given the circumstance. I don't wanna do it. Don't make me. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So this is a final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Of all people, she may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Sky. Seaworthy? Can't say I didn't warn you. Chief Gant, do you understand the implications of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction.
Objection!
But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know? We aren't defenders of justice. What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery, ultimately the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied. What's going on at the prosecutor's office? They've sent a man to death? How can he just stand there like it wasn't his fault? What the hell, Gant? The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle down the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial's headed, no one knows. End of episode. Yo, you just done accuse her of murder? Hey, is this a good idea? I feel like it's not. So much for technology. It says fart, if only. Imagine if the culprit's name was something like... Exactly. Okay. That was a lot of heavy information. Did not expect Emma to be the one to do that. And when it happened, I'm like, yo. That hit me hard, boy. That hit me damn hard. Oh, God. Okay, let's see what the court has for us now. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. Guess I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here? I've seen happier people at funerals. Why does this sound familiar? I take it Lana's having you run errands again. Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here, she asked me to give this to you if there was a break in today's trial. Evidence law? Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day. You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Is that right, Miss Wright? Emma does look like a hat kid a bit. You know, not gonna lie, yeah, she does. The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said if you're planning to take him on, you're going to need this book. Him? I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read. Okay, we are taking on the final boss, Big Bad Gant. Doesn't look like that book will do any good now, though. All that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, detective. Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat despite all those allegations being thrown at me? Mr. Edgeworth, the real trial today hasn't begun yet. What? What else is there left to do? Your credibility's been all but ruined with this forged evidence you were unaware of. Emma Skye found out she unwittingly caused a man's death, and now you're telling me you want to do more? You've got to be kidding me, pal. You're missing the point, detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means a real killer's still out there. What? And we're going to expose him, no matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. Yo, we're taking on Gant. Gant's still the one that did kill Goodman more than likely. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. Mr. Edward? Yes, Your Honor. The inquiry committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Yes, well, normally this is where the prosecution calls forth the witness, but this isn't easy to say. You see, there's some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses? I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone has been talking and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. A solution? That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses. Okay, what? But there's no precedent for what you're proposing. Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well, the defense accepts the prosecution's proposal. Then it's settled. The defense may now call forth the next witness. Mr. Wright? You do realize this is your last chance, right? If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. The defense calls. The time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. Meekins, get in here. I was about to say, is Larry here as a choice? You're in charge, big boy. Roast that bitch. Fine. Let's go, Damon Gant.
Take that!
Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand. Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything? As the defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? True. All right, bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation. What is this, some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir? Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. So, you want to play hardball, eh? Please, Mr. Gant. Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto. What's with the grim face? First, let's clear up the SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lana sister murdered the prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh, like what? Like the role you played in all of this. Son, either you're very brave or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Sure, take my testimony for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true? I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. Very well, the witness may begin his testimony. God, I love his theme so much, it makes me melt. I need more Indie Andy pain. What are you talking about, Beast Move? As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. Is that when Dark was arrested? Him? He was lying on the floor unconscious. When Emma sent Neil flying, it seems Dark bumped his head. I see. Everything seems pretty clear-cut. If the police chief has the right to refuse to testify, then I'd better hit him hard and fast. As I recall, a ceremony was held at the police department that day. Yes, that's right. I guess you could say I'm a workaholic. After winning his award, Neil was all fired up too. That's probably what spooked Dark and made him run away like that. Was the defendant Lana's guy also present in the room? I don't quite remember. At the very least, she wasn't there when Dark ran for it. So the two of you ran immediately after it, right? After him, right? That's right, but Dark made it to the elevator first. So Neil and I split up. He went upstairs and I went downstairs. I guess you could say he got lucky. What's this about a power outage? Oh, that? The elevator stopped all of a sudden and I got the shock of my life. Well, probably not as shocked as Neil when... Not as shocked as Neil was when that knife went into his heart, though. That's not funny. Could you tell us what you saw? It was a shocking sight. Neil and that serial killer were lying in a heap on the floor, all tangled together. Dark was also lying collapsed on the floor. Yes, apparently he hit his head and was knocked out. Next to them were those two poor girls, Lana and Emma. Lana was cradling Emma in her arms. Looking back on it now, she must have already known what her sister had done. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. How can you know that? Because of the victim's body, it had already been moved. So that means you found the body near Lana's desk? That's right. I think you said earlier it was my suit of armor that really stabbed the prosecutor? Yes. Anyway, as you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. So you're saying that the forgery had already taken place by the time you arrived at your office. That's exactly what I'm saying. I can understand how Lana must have felt, but moving a body and hiding evidence are inexcusable no matter what the circumstances. Is that how it really went down? Staring at the witness won't do you any good, Mr. Wright. If you're going to stare at anything, you'd be better off staring at the court record. Worthy, always a smooth talker. But which piece of evidence ties Gant to the forgery? Lana did admit to forging evidence, but that can't be the whole truth. Somehow I've got to link Gant to the incident. Alright? No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case of the trial. There's so much evidence, dude. The only thing I can really think about is how this was split in half and inside Gant's desk, especially since he did not give it to Edgeworth. So my first guess would be the evidence list.
Objection!
You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery, but I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this list, for example. That's the list Emma Sky drew her picture on. This was discovered in your desk. Not only that, but a piece of this jar that was sitting in your office was found inside your safe. It was found where? You see, Chief Gant, these articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in the illegal investigation. Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this? Oh, here's a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy. So you admit to it then, that you were involved in the forgery? Who, me? Or do you mean you? Me? Why would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Righto?
Objection!
However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work. Yes, very well. In light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office and their relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene. My, kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together. Okay. Let's see, what was it now? A jar fragment and a list? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when these pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me in any way. Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor? When investigating the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol. You do understand that I am the chief of police, right? There will be consequences. Indeed, I believe I will press charges so you won't make that same mistake again. My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know. Alright, Udgy. In return, though, I know. That place, right? Huh? What, are these guys telepathic? I'd appreciate if you'd stop making these ridiculous allegations. Yes, you do have a point. You wouldn't have the guts to do something like that. What? I'll have you know, back in the day, I once broke into a cattle ranch and tipped Mr. Wright. What are you saying? Anyway, you can't prove you didn't carry in the evidence, can you? If you have proof to the contrary, you're going to need it later. Later? What are you talking about? What else? I'm talking about when Righto's prints are found. Yes, if they're found inside my safe, they would prove his investigation was illegal. Never face anyone as slimy as this guy. True. Yeah, I'll give you that. Red White was just an asshole. He wasn't... I guess he was slimy, but it's not as bad as him. What do you mean by that? This is all purely hypothetical, of course, but suppose I did place those items in my safe. Such an act wouldn't necessarily constitute forgery. If concealing evidence found at a crime scene isn't forgery, I'm not through speaking yet, Righto. It all depends on when the evidence was discovered. Are you saying this jar fragment wasn't discovered in the initial investigation? It would appear not. After all, it wasn't listed in the evidence list. For all we know, it could have suddenly materialized a day after Dark was sentenced. Oh, wouldn't that be convenient, right? The chief is talking about a possibility. So long as you can't rule that out, your remarks, however clever they may be, will only succeed in wasting time. Tell me something I don't know. Come on, Righto. Think about it. How can you look me in the eye and say that? Because I'm innocent. Remember? Who was it that murdered Neil? I'm not sure I care for the word murder here, but in the end, the person responsible for Mr. Marshall's unfortunate demise was Emma Skye. Well, now do you see? Really, Chief Kant? At the very least, there is one very large benefit you've reaped from all this. Oh? I wasn't aware. What is this benefit? That would, of course, be the position you have, Chief of Police. Oh? The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That in itself is sufficient motive. Sufficient motive. Ho, ho, ho. Oh, that's a good one. Huh? Do you really think I'm that incompetent? What do you mean? Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SL9 merely sped up the inevitable a little. Is that true, Edgeworth? Yes. He was going to be made chief anyways. Be careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at. So that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else. Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There, it's out in the open now. Uji, would you mind if I change my testimony a little? By all means, please do. This dude, I swear. Oh, I wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for me. Nothing in it for you? Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, Lana's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you'd better think again. You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone. Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised. You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though. Ho, ho, ho. That's a good one, Worthy. Could there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have helped someone out? True, you might not have helped anyone for their sake, but if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone. Mr. Wright, it appears you're positively determined to portray the chief as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand. That's not what I mean. Very well. Who is this person you believe Chief Gant may have helped forge evidence?
Take that!
Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky, the defendant? I believe it's quite obvious in light of the circumstances. Emma Sky fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister? Lana. As for Chief Gant, he would also have a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit. Self-profit? What do you mean? After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lana Sky was appointed chief prosecutor at the prosecutor's office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant. But how would he profit from all this? He would be able to use the chief prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations. Do you mean to tell me that despite the chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets? Dun dun dun. Oh, wait. You mean puppet as in someone forced to do his bidding? Never mind. Admitted, Chief. You assisted Lana Sky in forging evidence. Your motive to appoint her as chief prosecutor so you could control her. Righto, my boy. Quite the imagination you have there. Let me ask you something. What? Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing? Lana? She's keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant. I'm afraid without any proof, this all amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture. Unless that is also what happened in this incident. This incident? Or which one would that be? Of course I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The chief prosecutor has been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone has been controlling her. Worthy, you'd better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Just what do you mean? What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, but the Chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement. What? What? Bum, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum, bum. Order. I said order. Mr. Wright, you can't be serious, huh? This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our law enforcement agency. To accuse the chief of police of blackmail and murder? That's impossible. Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edwards said in easier to understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. Looks like he's the one who decided to go through with this. Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? That the chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder? Good question. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell. I see. All right, then. Let's see what Mr. Wright's got, and it better be good. Show us this evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman. big thinking energy right now. That ties Chief Gant. What would tie Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman? Okay. Show us this evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman. What would it be? Is it the SL9 incident files? Because he was connected to the past and he was... But ties to the murder of Detective Goodman. 7 p.m. and 7:30. Is it because of the Joe Dark killing? Because Goodman, wasn't he like the head detective? One of the head he was the head investigator.
Take that!
Well, Chief, so long as Righto here is tossing out things regardless of their relevance, mind if I toss something too, Edgy? The shoe should do nicely. I'll chuck it right at you. You always were quite the joker, weren't you? Oops, looks like I got it wrong. Oops, man. Maybe this will boot... Maybe this boot to the head will knock some sense into you. I know it's hard with all that's gone on during this trial. But try to think back to what happened in the evidence room 4 days. Why is everyone throwing their shoes? Alright then. Is it the rubber glove? Because Goodman did enter here prior. Sorry, what's his face? Gant entered here prior. But the glove was open. The glove was the thing that was left open.
Take that!
Oh my god.
Take that!
This is... It's because he entered the damn room. I overlooked that fact. Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. Seven sevens. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my card number. It's your number. What? How do you know that? The safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code. A 7 digits? You don't mean. I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 7 sevens. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. Order, Chief Gant, what do you have to say? Nothing. The defense's search of my office was in violation of regulations, and I will demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card. Chief Gant, so you admit it? You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime? What about it? I'm chief of police, whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom. What's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? Of course not. Why would he be? I had not seen him for days. I hadn't seen him for days. You hadn't seen him in days, Chief Gant? I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman. What do you mean? This trial's purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt. No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing: what transpired during that meeting. In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Show us proof that the victim went to meet Chief Gant on the day of the crime. We got you now, Chief. Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Or to be accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give that report to the Chief of Police. Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure if he filed it. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day. He needed to? Yes, to transfer the evidence out. Oh. Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. Dun dun dun! I accompanied him? There's no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on, let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the Chief of Police, murdered poor Goodman. Exactly. But wait, the chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card. Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something like that. Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once, yet you showed us your ID card earlier. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body. True. Chief Gant, you didn't. The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime for no one in their right mind, which would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course. You're forgetting, Miss Wright, that the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? I was at the police department the entire day, you know, and everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey, you, take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time, I thought he was just a useless... And all this time, I thought it was just a useless clue just taking up space. How could the chief have moved the body, Mr. Wright? Show us this evidence. The only thing I could think about is... the parking sub. This is how he moved the Detective Goodman's body. A parking sub? Miles Edgeworth? You mean The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. My badge. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car. You mean I carried the victim's body? Precisely so. But wait, even you know I didn't plan on returning to my office after the ceremony finished that day. But you did return. Tell me why. Oh, he had him for that freaking screwdriver. He told me he wanted me to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. So you see, what you were really taking to the prosecutor's office wasn't the screwdriver, but the dead body in your trunk. Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car? Yes, unless, of course, you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? True. There's only one possible explanation: to transport the body to your accomplice, Miss Lana Sky. Order. What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations? Think back to the photograph Miss Starr took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It's a photo of the body being taken from the trunk. Chief Gant, please say something. I believe your time's up. My time's up? Sorry, Wright, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we're to make it in time for the early bird special. But the cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier? A police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now. What? That is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. So you're going to just run away after all this? Run away? Don't make me laugh, worthy. I stabbed old Goodman? That's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, You think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with. I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright, Your Honor, do you have any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Guy dispose of his body. Can't let him just squirm his way out of this. I've got to keep the pressure on. Yes, Your Honor, I do have such evidence. Then please hurry up and present it. Just remember, it better prove Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman beyond a shadow of a doubt. Swear to God, Quinby. Invoking the "because I said so" clause. Wasn't this a real murder weapon?
Take that!
It's proof as to whether or not it's enough to demonstrate the chief's guilt. I'll let you be the judge, but I am the judge. Oh, right. Well, what do you think, Your Honor? What I think, Mr. Wright, is that I'm going to be late for lunch. I don't think I have any proof. It's no use showing evidence I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor, at present, I have no conclusive evidence. See, Aji? In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the chief. What? Here's a tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, Righto. It seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, Edgy, I'll leave the rest to you. Was that not the right choice? I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency.
Objection!
Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her. Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean? There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't had the honor of hearing her testimony. That would be Lana. We've not heard her at all. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. But Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else. One more witness who can answer all the questions raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room. Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person? I can't call on them. Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling witnesses today. Let's go. Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist? She may not be willing to tell the truth, but we can't just stop now. Your Honor, the defense calls... Meekins, get to the stand, boy.
Take that!
Call the Blue Badger. The defendant, Miss Lana Sky, she was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 on February 21st. Her task to dispose of the victim's body in accordance with a certain someone's orders. Mr. Edgeworth? The prosecution has no objections, Your Honor. Let's go. The court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes, we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now in... Hold on. Chief Gant, I thought you were going to eat. Listen good, Lana. He's talking to Lana. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. I can't say words. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. Yo, are you serious, my dude? Of course, you'd never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. All right, then. I've got a lunch date to meet. Okay, if there's no further objections, this court is now in recess. Totally not blackmailing. Completely not blackmailing. It's illegal to blackmail, right? Right? Looks like we managed to stay in the game. Yeah, thanks to your help, Edward. That chief. He's something else, eh, pals? Detective Gumshoe. Ha ha ha. I'm not a detective anymore. Oh, yeah? Sorry about that. Don't worry. I've already decided where to work now. At your office. Oh, do we get Gumshoe? My office? Sure. I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with. Could he mean Maya? Oh, we need at least one Maya smug for this entire episode. We finally got it. Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. Chief Gant's done it again. How is it he always gets the upper hand? It's not fair he has a right to refuse to testify. Settle down, right? Remember what the judge said? But Chief, that is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. Risks? What do you mean by that? It's simple. If the chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true. You mean he forfeits his right to say anything too? Emma! Are you okay? Yeah, when I came to, I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery, so she heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I said before. No, don't be. It was the truth. You know, it's funny. I almost feel relieved somehow. Relieved? Yeah. And I finally know what really happened. To think that all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man, and she did it all just to protect me. Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her. What do you mean? What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's order. She must have shut herself up deep inside to force herself to do anything and everything the chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold. It was all my fault. It's because I murdered Mr. Marshall. Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. If you want to blame anyone, blame society, pal. Chief Gant may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor. I see. Well, we better get back. It's time for the final act. Emma, why don't you wait here? No, I'm going with you. I want to be there when Lana tells the truth. Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this. Let's go, Edward! Let's go! Alright, give me a moment. I'm gonna take a break to get some water, and then we'll get to the final trial of game 1. Let's go! All right, it's time to end this. Oh. February 25th, 2:21 p.m., District Court, courtroom number 9. Now then, will the defendant, Miss Lana Sky, please take the stand? Miss Lana Sky, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years. Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Sky. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth. Yes, of course. The truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gant. Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. Gant and the fabrication. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Are you sure about this testimony, Your Honor? I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana, if this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this. That's why I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. But what if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like this, she's hiding something. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. How many years exactly? Ever since I made senior detective. Let's see, I was 24 then, so that would be 5 years. Detective Gant and Detective Sky were legendary partners. I personally saw them testify in numerous cases. She must have been good, coming from the same school as Mia. Damon Gant was a respectable detective, that's why. But think about it, Miss Sky. You didn't murder Detective Goodman. You told me as much yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. And did you do so to help your sister? Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. But what she did was justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him. Mom. So that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago? You say you did this all by yourself. Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body. What? But Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that. If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It's probably knocked away in the struggle. That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. all just to protect me. So when you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to. Yes. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound, then moved the body. You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's body and then you moved the body? But why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know, Edward. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of the others. But why did you do that? Come now, Miss Wright, even you should be able to figure it out. The reason Miss Sky fabricated the evidence. I knew the tip of the weapon found buried in the body would be all the proof we needed. How did you know that? According to your testimony, Prosecutor Marshall's broken knife was a murder weapon, right? Yes, and leaving it at that might point the blame away from Dark. I felt the most effective way to get him convinced would be by having the tip of his knife found inside the victim's body. So you buried it inside the victim's stab wound? Yes, because I hated Dark for what he did. So you rearranged the crime scene. Are you sure you didn't do this to keep Emma from looking like the murderer? How many times do I need to tell you, Mr. Wright? Emma didn't do it. Period. Are you so desperate to hide that fact? You're willing to risk the death sentence here? She's lying. She did it so I wouldn't be blamed for what happened. In any case, as a prosecutor, what I've done is unpardonable. There's nothing I can do to make up for my actions. Mr. Wright, my sister's lying. She insists she fabricated the evidence by herself, but there's no way she could have done it alone. When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was where you deduced it was, by Chief Gant's desk. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple. Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason why Miss Sky moved the body. The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Pieces of the jar, you mean? Yes, that wretched jar you showed us earlier. In order to show that Dark committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body. So when you first found the body, the jar was already... Of course, it had already shattered to pieces. If you looked at the crime scene... Expedient, okay. Thank you. I'm bad at English. If you looked at the crime scene, it would have been clear right away what happened. Neil Marshall was dead and Dark was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have been broken during their struggle. I see. What's the matter, Emma? Apparently the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed, but I have a feeling there's more to it than that. There must be a contradiction here somewhere. Anyways, I committed this fabrication completely alone.
Objection!
But here's the thing. If it broke during the struggle, he wouldn't have been able to write it via his blood for Emma's name. Miss Guy, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister. You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered? If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I'm compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony. A contradiction in my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right. Do you have any problem with that? It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it has to still be not smashed. It must have not been broken before he died. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar. Order. Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are about the truth to which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth. Very well, the witness may now continue her testimony. Jar and message in blood. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood? I wasn't chief prosecutor at that time. She didn't think Dark was a real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence. Very well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar. So the jar was already broken? It's a miracle that thing hadn't broken earlier. It certainly looks as feeble as the defense's case, but not as feeble as a judge's judgment. You are an ace detective who never missed a detail. Do you really expect us to believe you didn't investigate what was written on the jar pieces? Normally I would have. But it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. So you didn't know your sister's name was written on the jar? No. If I had known, I would have gathered all the pieces and ground them to dust. Well, that helps my case. Lana, you do that for me? It seems you two might make up yet. Anyways, I just had enough time to move the body as it was. I barely had enough time. If someone happened upon the scene, you'd lose your chance to erase the evidence. You must have been in a hurry. I was. I knew I had to destroy the evidence before anyone came. This is rather shocking. I'm afraid this action of yours reveals what really happened. What do you mean? If you really thought Dark killed Prosecutor Marshall, you would have wiped away the blood. What else could I have done in that situation? Lana? I only had a few moments. There wasn't enough time for me to do anything else but gather up the pieces. But how could you see with the power out? It should have been pitch black in the office. A detective is always prepared, Miss Wright. Even now, I always carry a pocket light and a camera with me. Even I carry a bottle of emergency luminol wherever I go. I never miss anything. I got every last piece. So you illegally rearranged the crime scene? Yes. I don't have any excuse for my actions. I'm sorry, Lana. I didn't know. I've cheated you so badly all this time. It's not too late. There's still plenty of time to make up, after we've gotten to the bottom of this incident. No doubt this day will leave a permanent stain on the history of the prosecutor's office. More contradictions have surfaced in her testimony. Your sister's really putting up a fight. She must really care about you. Still, she's not doing this the right way. I think I finally figured out the contradictions in her testimony. There's one final possibility that might turn everything around. One final contradiction in her testimony, eh? There was one big piece that you didn't get, though. Because Gant had the last big piece. What? We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Gant's safe. In the chief safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it. But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off of them. Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you. But couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece? I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective. That may very well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken. Oh, that. There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gant at the time. At the time he was looking for Dark downstairs. The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide that fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that? Wow. Wait, I'm not the one on trial here. Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposely hid one of the broken pieces. Question: what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence. Yeah, I love how it's just teamwork. Judge breakdown. I love how it's just teamwork between Wright and Edgeworth. It's so freaking awesome, dude. But why would Chief Gant do that? In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterwards? Discovering the scene, Lana Skye believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma. And therein lies the reason why Miss Skye became the Chief's puppet. Did she just bite her finger and it's bloody now? What the hell? No, I did it on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the Chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client. I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth. Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap? Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Lana may be right after all. What do you mean, right? So, you do tell foul lies, Miss Wright? Miss Guy, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Sky, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw. All right, the witness may testify once more for the final time. Actual crime scene. Oh, the music got more hype. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it really was fabrication, Emma might be innocent. She only committed perjury twice, but, you know, we'll let her testify once more. Only once more. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the details. Unbelievable. The body was impaled on the armor sword. You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. What? To me? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed. But I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright, she really does have faith in you. I mean, that's par for the course for the series. Literally every witness perjures themselves for like 3 times the minimum. True. Sorry, I couldn't figure out that word. Perjury, I knew. Perjure. Sure. I don't remember receiving any picture from Llama. Gave it to you this morning. I seem to remember getting something from her then. Let's check that evidence again. Here you go. Oh. Hey, there's a picture here. Wait, why is there a picture? This is the actual crime scene. No other detective saw the crime scene like this because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I had rearranged everything. Gasp, Mr. Wright. That piece cut out from his vest, could that be the cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe? What's this? That cloth, it had fingerprints on it. Whoever's fingerprints those are must be the real murderer. What? But those fingerprints are yours. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Anyway, let's get on with this cross-examination. As long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer. Very well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Let's go. Music time. Oh, big music time. Come now, Udgy. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Chief Gant? What, now you want to make me out as a bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. Damn. So what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence. Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't. But someone does. Someone? So, what's your excuse, Brighto? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death. Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt. Is that true, Mr. Wright? Didn't I technically show that off earlier? If I show this piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out the murderer. Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now. And if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do you do? What do I do now? I'd better think carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall? That was so cool. Edgeworth is so sick. Seemed pretty worried to me. He turned into Street Fighter 2 electrified Wright for a whole second, but he's not worried. Andy employing some large things right now. Think carefully. This time, I think I can't. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie. Chief Gant, you opened my safe. I know you took what was inside, the conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? It looks like part of it's been cut out for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe? What? That means you, the chief of police, have been concealing evidence? This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall right now. Well, I just can't let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. Yeah, he's really talking a lot for somebody who can't testify right now. You mean you admit to it? I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana, so you really were manipulating her. I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, that when she saw the scene, she would ask me for my aid, so you assisted Miss Sky. I told her to rearrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room, and I ended up using the evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When I tampered with the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you. 2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe, but why? For insurance, of course. Insurance? I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed. You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence? What do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off of all the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on the jar too? Ho, ho, ho. Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come now, Righto. Cough it up already. I know you have it. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit to it then, Chief Gant? That you were hiding the piece of cloth that you cut off the victim's vest in your safe? Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move, Righto. You should have shown it then before it was too late. It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now. Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall. Well, guess what? We got something to show. Mr. Edgeworth, your opinion, please? I think Mr. Wright's humor has improved at the expense of his defense. Better polish up your defense, Mr. Wright. What? That wasn't it? More likely explanation is the person slipped and fell on a freshly waxed floor, getting wax all over the hand. Well, that would account for this amount of oil, I guess. It happens, you know. I always slipped on the floors at school after they're waxed. Could it be the jar still?
Take that!
Okay, fine. 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 Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Ah, yes. At last, you finally brought it out to the open. There's a handprint on this piece of cloth. Your Honor, the prosecution requests that be immediately sent to the labs for analysis. This handprint on the leather, there must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly. You mean, it could have not been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. Ho, ho, ho. You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Righto had all this evidence had all this time to present this evidence, yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that, Miss Wright? Do you really know? Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they? Very well, I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. Alright, we're just gonna roll with it.
Take that!
Emma? Emma Sky? What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? Oh ho ho ho. You're really something, Wright. You knew this girl did it all along and you still tried to pin the murder on me. So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death. Hold it? How could you, you monster, Miss Guy? You knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't? Miss Sky, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet. Huh? But I'm afraid it's over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too. You purposely concealed this inconclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. I'm sorry, man. Badge is the one thing you could never have. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh? And what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? What? Chief Gant, you're absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask? It was Emma Sky, wasn't it? I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about? I'm talking about a contradiction, one that proves who the real killer is. Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, what could it possibly contradict? Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. Phoenix, you're leaving it to me? Yeah, bro, just figure it out. Use the brain hole. Date and time of death, February 19th, between 7 and 7:30. Cause of death, single stab wound piercing heart and lung. Assessment, died from blood loss in under 10 minutes. Weapon found was missing tip. Only got 51 pieces of evidence to choose from. Have you considered reviewing the court record? Shut up, Quinby. that contradicts this cloth. Oh ho ho, it's fun watching you squirm, Righto. This piece of evidence does indeed seem to contradict something, your outward appearance of mental sanity. Imagine the very last thing would be your badge. No. Maybe. No. 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 Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, no. 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 That contradicts the cloth. What the hell? What would contradict the cloth? And what exactly is this supposed to be? It is a picture. This is a picture Miss Guy took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out? Yes. His shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest though. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs no doubt were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth. Oh, but that piece of cloth. It doesn't have any blood on it. Since Emma Sky's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time. No, this is nonsense. Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Sky? Picked up the unconscious prosecutor and impaled him on the armor's sword. And to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on a jar with the victim's blood. A jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue and make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest? Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you prove that you were the actual murderer. He's done. Wait, there's more. Objection. Oh ho ho ho. That was close, right? You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean you refute his allegations? You see, this piece of cloth is illegal evidence. Order. What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Aji? Earlier, old Righto here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse, Righto? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, the piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. But that's not fair. Ho 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 ho. Did you actually think you could beat me in court? Best me in court? It looks like the last laugh's on you, son. I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, true. Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person, assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright? It seems at last... the time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. What plan do you have, Wright? Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? That you purposely and illegally concealed this piece of evidence? I did not. I admit I refused to present it at one point. So, the evidence is legal. No, it isn't, Mr. Gant, huh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then, it's that I couldn't. What do you mean, you couldn't? There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence. No, Aji, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward, you can't really believe. There's only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well, let us settle this once and for all. Earlier, you refused to present evidence. If you cannot prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now.
Take that!
This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law. Yo, we going back to this. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself inside your safe. It goes without saying I did not have approval from the police department. Rule 2, unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here is the crux of the matter. You see, at that time, it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and... Sorry, but can you recall when was that picture presented? That was shown only a few moments ago. No, he's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this... Oh, yes. He cornered himself. No! It was then you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. You, the only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest, is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer, and there's only one person who could have done that. Damon Gant, the killer was you. I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years, he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Star, then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yes, that's right. If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. Goodman turned him down as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He sold Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden, he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left on. Oh, he wanted to do right by Marshall. Damn. He opened his evidence locker, and as he was taking the evidence out, he said, "It's not too late. I'm going to hand all this over to Marshall." Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it, that cursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake. The bloody handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker. I used to be known as Crime Computer, but everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. Then you put the body in my car? I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Oh god, dude. Leaving the prosecution's car aside, how could you get Miss Guy involved in all this? Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker. I felt bad for doing it, but I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take. So you left the jar, fragments, and the gloves. Yeah. It looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down. To bring them down once you try to go it alone. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Aji. What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Aji. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Wright here. And Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sound. I don't know if I could hate Gant entirely. There are two things I want you to understand. Yes? First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Guy, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years, from the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up to today. So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Miss Guy, I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My, what high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows? A few years from now, you might just make it to the top. Aww, I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Sky, and you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you, and yet you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it, I only did my job. In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Sky, yes, Your Honor, you are innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date. Yes, I understand, Your Honor. Is there something amusing about all this? Why are you smiling? It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains. Aww. Well, this trial has gone too far for too long. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Sky, not guilty. We're done. That is all. The court is adjourned. Feb 25th, 5:03 p.m. District Court. Let's go. At long last, it's finally over. Hold it. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended, I can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks. And you too, Mr. Edgeworth. Oh. You know, I did my best too, but Lana didn't say a single word to me. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, I guess I am. I'll come back later. Get back here, Gumshoe. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run over all And to top it all off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Hey, light it up, pals. I'm only kidding. Oh, are you here because of my sister again? Nope, not this time. I came today because of you, pal. Me? That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone. Oh. Lana, should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you don't. Emma, I owe you an apology. Okay, sis, don't worry about it. A day 2 years ago was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could ever do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in this mess, in that mess. Sis, I asked Jan to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared what you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you were only doing it for me. No. I turned my back on you that day, and hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis, I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back, and now you have. Oh, Emma. Aww. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in doing so, we can find a way back to our rightful path. And it is from there we can move on towards a brighter future. Damn. At least that's what I felt watching the two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe, me? Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here, coward. Where was he hiding? I just came to say congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right. Well, I'll be going now. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realize today that I can't correct my mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth, not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right. Edgeworth, you're a better man. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them, but in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time. But Edgeworth, who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor, Edgeworth. Don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime, but they both made the same mistake. You said in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright, and because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Huh? Yeah, what? Yeah, of course, whatever you say. What is this, a pop quiz? Come on, Mr. Wright, show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence? Something that neither Edward nor I would have been able to find on our own? Oh no, I want the good end. There's so much pressure. What the hell are you talking about? Something that neither Edward nor I would have been able to find. Fine on our own. Was it the blue badger? It's gotta be the blue badger, right? This is very pressure intensive. Oh my god, what is it? No. 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 Those autopsy reports. Answer me this. Did both of you actually get it correct on your first try? I swear to God. God. There's only one of two things I could think of. It would either be the evidence list. Alright, we're going with evidence list. That's the picture I drew. Our counterattack began with this. It was... You had one half of the evidence and I had the other. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Mr. Edgeworth. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth, if you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Edward, what will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember, you can let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, right? But what I face now is my problem. Edward, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. I better be going to. Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon. It seems we both have a lot to learn and catching up to do. Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation? It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis, I will. They are so in love. And so another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Oh, faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself. Oh. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. Huh? What is it, detective? There's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this. But I thought you said it was okay. Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story. Huh? Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Way to go, detective. I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here is the one who'll be footing the bill. Huh? What, you think I could afford it with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. Huh? Wait, what? Huh? Mr. Wright, you're the best. Why is it I suddenly feel like I want to scream? Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all just go pay for it off together? Pay it off together. Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys, let's go. One last objection. Alrighty. Episode 5 was a game in a game, I swear. Arrange for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of Emma. I hope she'll be pleased to study under a top coroner. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Still, I'll manage to find my way back to the field somehow. Then I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. Ooh. Alright, we're going through epilogues now. Oh, that's cute. Yikes, I thought I was a goner for a moment there. In the end, though, they overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's office. If we penalize you anymore, it'll be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. It just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily. I'm happy he still has his job. Won't be another long one like this for a while. That's fine and fair. Epilogues and chill tunes, absolutely. Wow, I actually finished game 1 in full now. My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show them, though. Someday, I'm going to make detective, sir. Yes, sir. Then I can just be like that Dick Gumshoe. GG. It only took 17 full-length streams and 2 mental breakdowns. Is one of the mental breakdowns the Blue Badger? God damn it. Get off the screen. Get away. Oh. Thank God. It's gone forever. My friend, the Wii port of this is so lazy. Will haunt you forever. It's just a cutout with the DS graphics. What is it? Can't you see I'm having me a showdown with a steak lunch partner? Miss Star managed to sneak this into me. She seems one of the guards, it seems. She's seen one of the guards, it seems. Well, the cowboy, it looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina back her smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water? Marshall, you don't deserve to be in jail. I understand what you did, but no. And scrolling Phoenix Wright text in the background. No. Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu, the Phoenix Wright Punch. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer as sweet as victory. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller around this time. Make sure not to eat it backwards. He literally attacked a cop with a knife. What do you mean? I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said in trial. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left? Anyway, he said he's been doing something for how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I'd better be, huh? Oh no, I forgot my gavel. Sorry, gotta go. We finally got to see his chair, I think. I think that's the first time. Marshall didn't do anything wrong. Chair graphic. I think so too. Flashy chair. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing you and your objection. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium. Mystic Maya, afternoon training's about to begin. Coming. Well, see you around, Nick. Hell yeah. We got one last Maya scene for the game. But either we'll get Mia or Edgeworth next. I want to say possibly Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth? I brought you your tea. What's going on? Did he resign? Edgy, no. Oh. Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book. Oh. Oh. Goodbye. Rise from the ashes. Achievement unlocked. Thank you, Capcom. Wow. That was a hell of an episode. Didn't expect to see him going to Europe, from where? Yeah, going to Europe by train, huh? From where is she departing, Capcom? Couldn't be bothered to draw an airport, shake my head. They did draw Maya's, like, new, temple place. That's funny, actually. The wing perspective is all hard and stuff. Start game 2. We will start game 2 eventually. Maybe within the next week or so, but we'll see. But overall, episode 5 was a hell of a good freaking chapter overall. Oh, God. That was a phenomenal ending to the game, though. I really enjoyed it. Alright, that's going to be it for me for today. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate all of you being here. Slash raid. Alright, we're just gonna do a raid, and yeah. No problem. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate every single one of you being here today. It's highly appreciated. And I can't believe the majority of you actually stood for my entire Phoenix Wright stream. I'm happy to finish the first one, and I can't wait to start the second one. Thank you again for stopping by. Have a good night, dudes. Peace out. Catch you next time. Bye.